the real work to develop healthy boundaries. So much of what you read today about healthy boundaries focuses on saying no, or here, use these words, or the advice will be to stay calm, which is good advice, but doesn't go far enough. So, developing healthy boundaries really takes more than that. And I'm going to outline some of it for you today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Barbara Heffernan. I was a psychotherapist for 20 years, and then I started a YouTube channel, and I have online coaching programs and courses designed to help people live more joyful lives. And I do consider boundaries one of the main pillars of a joyful life. So if you like this video, please do give it a like, subscribe to my channel, always a big help, and let's get into the topic. All right. So boundaries are really about knowing where you end and where other people begin. They're about really knowing yourself on a deep level. If you aren't in touch with your own values and your own value, healthy boundaries will be very difficult. And if you grew up parentified or in an enmeshed family, you were probably taught the exact opposite of healthy boundaries. And developing healthy boundaries will be a process of recovery, but it's a process that's worth it, truly, and you can do it. So the real work of understanding yourself, understanding your values, understanding what your emotions are telling you, being able to regulate your emotions, knowing what negative core beliefs you might have that are holding you back, and then even the positive self-statements that we have about ourselves can hold us back from having healthy boundaries. So let's start with the concept of emotional regulation. Being able to regulate your own emotions to stay within a zone of tolerance, right? So we have waves of emotion, but when we get outside the zone of tolerance, that's when we are so anxious that we go into fight, flight, freeze mode. Or we might get so depressed that we can't get out of bed, or so angry we go into a rage or get so depressed, right? So the extremes of our emotions make it very difficult to have and enforce and really live with healthy boundaries. So an exercise that you can do for this right now or within the next week, right, is to think about when you are having trouble setting a boundary. And probably even before the situation comes up, or it might be right at the moment, but let's take a situation where you're planning to set a boundary. What emotion is triggered for you? Very often it's anxiety and fear right away when we think of, oh, I have to go set this boundary. Whoosh, we may feel anxious. So managing that anxiety is going to be needed before you can set that boundary. Similarly, if you're angry and that anger is just overtaking you, it's highly unlikely you'll be able to set a healthy boundary. You might be able to set a very aggressive boundary, but you might be in, again, that fight, flight, and freeze mode. So learning to regulate your emotions. Okay, big topic, I understand, but that is a key for healthy boundaries. Understanding our habitual patterns. In what situations do you have difficulty setting boundaries and why, right? And then what's the core statement about yourself underneath the difficulty setting that boundary? And if you haven't taken my free boundary quiz, I will show the link here and I will also link it in the description to the video. But it's a free quiz on your boundary personality type. And it identifies a positive self-statement that you might have about yourself that can actually underlie the problem with boundaries. For example, if one of your self-statements is, I'm nice, I'm a nice person, that's good, it's great, it's wonderful to be nice, right? But if we cross the line into too nice, that's where we begin to really sacrifice our own self-care, our own needs, our own desires for other people's desires. Often, if somebody's self-statement is, I'm nice, they might have a core negative belief of, I'm not as important as other people. My problems aren't as real as other people's problems. And that type of belief may have been instilled in you when you were very young, right? Those kind of beliefs get instilled in us by family systems very, very young. So, really, to have ongoing healthy boundaries rather than just, okay, I'm going to really practice and I'm going to set this boundary this one time, but then I can't keep it up, right? To really, on an ongoing basis, have healthy boundaries, we need to rewire that negative core belief. We need to believe that we are as worthwhile as other people. We are worthy. We are worthy human beings. Doesn't mean we have to be better than anybody else, but we don't have to subjugate ourselves, right? So, these two concepts of emotional regulation and rewiring that negative core belief are at the core of the boundary program I'm launching in September. And I'll give you the link here in case you're interested in checking it out and feel like you could use some assistance or you'd like to work with me on strengthening your emotional regulation and rewiring that core belief and strengthening some positive core beliefs with a focus on boundaries and healthy relationships. Obviously, those are not the only pieces of the course, but I did want to share, whether you're interested in the course or not, that building those healthy boundaries so you can have satisfying, close, supportive relationships requires emotional regulation and rewiring those beliefs. And it's not about the scripts, although scripts can be helpful, and I will be providing scripts in the course as well. But broadening your understanding of yourself and self compassion and self esteem, that's the real work. All right. Let me know what you think of this. Comment below. Let me know if you agree, and I'll see you next week.